understand the rules before you draft. I did not do that.
Your exact words were another mock draft. We just finished one.
Exactly.
When you're on the clock.
I'm in 8 billion drafts. You know what I mean? Literally, just before we went on air, I had to make a pick in another draft. I'm in so many drafts between mock drafts and actual leagues that I play in, and then I'm helping other people out with their. So it's just a bunch. So I didn't realize that we were a 3 wide receiver league. That will play itself out here as we start our
running backs.
And that takes us right to round 1.
I'm just letting you know. I'm caught in the fact that I did not read the rules or open up the text from producer Damien as to what our rules were. I'm just like, another mock. I really have to do this effing thing. All right, so here we go.
Takes us to round 1. Justin Jefferson goes first off the board, followed by Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Austin Eckler for you, Barry, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and then Nick Chubb.
To me, the most surprising thing in the first round, obviously, I was surprised to get Eckler at 5, that 3 wide receivers went off the board. Now, I understand, of course, it is a 3 wide receiver league, so that does make somewhat sense. But I was, and it is a half-point PPR, which I guess lessens Eckler's value a little bit, but still, I don't know, just money in the bank. We think that offense takes a big step here. Austin Eckler, of course, a proud FantasyLife.com investor as well. I just want to be honest about that, but, I got to support my investors.
The minus 300 cashes with that mention. I like it.
Yep.
We're about to see a story unfold, and the story is Matthew Berry if he doesn't have the number 1 pick. It's like going from Tom Brady as your quarterback to Matt Castle, which Randy Moss lived.
Matt
Look,
Castle
the vibes are different this week. This week it was, we 20 seconds into the show. I'm ashamed of you guys. You shouldn't be. Because, hey, I'm actually kind of feeling how you was feeling last week, so I can't wait to get in this. I woke up ready to talk about this mock draft, Matthew Berry.
Well, should we talk about the first round?
Yeah, Lawrence, you take Travis Kelce at 6 after Jefferson, McCaffrey, Chase, Kupp, and Eckler all come off the board. Obviously, the 6th spot in the first round, very popular spot for Kelce.
Yeah, and it's just solidifying the floor, which is 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns here. So I get my tight end position early despite it being a 3-receiver lead. What was kind of shocking to me was that Bijan went off as RB3 when you have to start 3 wide receivers. But again, in a league with these pro drafters outside of producer Pete and Matthew Berry, you got to get your guys early.
Yeah, Bijan, absolutely my guy. I think he finishes the season as RB1. Otherwise, there's no shot you take him that early in this situation. And honestly, I thought Diggs was going to be there at the 1-9 for me.
Yeah.
But Denny ends up taking Diggs. And Jay, you close out this round with Nick Chubb, so you kind of fell into the same spot as me where the top wide receiver talent was gone.
Yeah, more or less, and you'll see my next pick getting a wide receiver. But with Chubb, with half PPR, I think that really plays to Chubb and lessens the gap between him and Bijan, McCaffrey, Eckler, these guys who are more reception dependent for their value. So I think Nick Chubb, I wouldn't be taking him over McCaffrey, but I don't think the gap is that significant in half PPR.
It's certainly lessened in half PPR. I just like the fact that Lawrence is taking shots at me. I picked Austin Eckler at 5. You have an issue. I just want you to be on the record right now. You have an issue with Eckler at 5.
No, that's just one pick.
There you go.
That's just one pick,
though.
Let's get into round 2.
Let's get into round 2. All right, so 1 for 1 in Lawrence's eyes. But Lawrence was in a mock draft this weekend. What was it? Or industry mock you were in? What happened?
Yes.
Right. Didn't Eckler go in the 7th round or something like that?
No, I got Christian McCaffrey at 6.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
But I got Breece Hall in the 7th round.
Yeah.
Then somebody drafted Corey Davis. So
the retired Corey Davis.
Yes, the no longer playing.
That's what I would just say
football.
here is this just because you put up a Twitter handle, an X handle saying you're a fantasy football expert,
which I do not.
I know it. Neither do I. And people are aware of that. They've watched me for years. But I'm just when you're in an industry mock and you're taking Corey Davis, it's just come on.
People change their minds all the time.
That's right,
Matthew.
Jay.
Corey Davis comes back.
Could be this year's Tom Brady.
He unretires to become a non-relevant fantasy
Exactly.
factor.
You're going to ride that upside.
You just mentioned Tom Brady. I would
He's a
actually
bad
argue.
pick even if he was in the NFL, Jay. Corey Davis would be a bad pick even in the NFL, even if he was active in the NFL.
That's true.
And he's retired. But
Who would you draft right now, Corey Davis or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Right.
There's a better chance Tom Brady plays football this year than Corey Davis. Better chance Tom Brady plays meaningful fantasy football than or meaningful 2 fantasy managers.
The meaningful fantasy football continued in round 2. Jay, you had the back-to-back picks. You said you felt comfortable with your wide receiver options here. You take CeeDee Lamb, followed by Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Barry's ride or die, gone. Blake takes
And
care
by
of
the way,
Wilson.
and you'd say this for Kyle Dvorak, who took Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 2-2. He had a good run at NBC Sports. We're going to wish him well in the future. He had a really good run, did a lot of good work for us, and we can't wait to see where he lands next.
Yeah, he's actually here today, so tough reason to find out why he's here today.
His exit interview.
Yes.
He's here to turn in his badge.
Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Chris Olave, Tony Pollard, Jalen Waddle, Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, and Josh Jacobs, who is back in the fold for the Raiders. So Barry, back-to-back running backs in a 3-wide receiver league.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
Yeah, thanks. This is not how I plan to start. But again, I think this is intuitive and instructive, right? I mean, take what the draft gives you. No, I'm dead serious, though. Hey, hang on for a second.
Sure.
Because I feel like I really was hoping Waddle would fall to me. Stupid Lawrence.
Good
took
job,
him.
Lawrence.
Right?
Right in front of him.
But the fact of the matter is that the wide receivers that are available to me at that spot, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, I felt like that would have been a reach there at the 2-7, right? And so the fact of the matter is I didn't want to go quarterback that early. I didn't want to go Mark Andrews in a half-point PPR. So I felt like, again, you want to talk about half-point PPR helping Derrick Henry. There's an argument to be made Derrick Henry's a top 5 running back in this format. Easy. He could easily be a top 3 running back. And so, I just, again, take what the draft gives you. And so I felt like at that spot, I thought Higgins or Devontae Smith as my wide receiver 1 in the middle of round 2 would have been a little bit of a reach. So I just went with the best player available, which was Derrick Henry. I think I have 2 borderline top 5 running backs to start the league.
Yep, that's fine. You went with my Sam Hinkie approach of take Embiid, Julio Okafor, and Nerlens
You're
Stillwell.
definitely 2 for 2. I did the same thing with Derrick Henry in our mock draft last week. Best player available. Didn't want to take the receivers or quarterback. Made the right move here. I actually like Steven, our producer, taking Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round because, again, if you want your quarterback, this guy's not making it back to you. So that's kind of my favorite pick of this round.
You know what's interesting? When you said again, what I thought you were going to say is, and again, if I suck up to Steven, maybe I get on the show more.
No, I don't even got to do that.
That's where I thought you were going with that, Lawrence. That's what I thought you were saying.
Me and Steven,
I really like
past
producer.
that point. We like brothers now.
Okay, got it.
One of our 9 producers, by the way. Steven, rotating in. Thank you, Steven. All right, that takes us to round 3, and it kind of piggybacks off of Lawrence's
But I
point.
think that's an important discussion point. Are you guys okay with Hurts in the 2nd round? I understand what you're saying about get the guy that you want,
Yeah.
but in a 12-team 1 quarterback league, as much as I love Jalen Hurts, this feels early to me.
I mean, I waited until round 3 because I knew I'd get one of the top 4 guys that I liked in round 3.
Yeah,
as
I
you
think
see right here.
at that point, 3 wide receiver league, I would have taken T. Higgins or Devontae Smith in that spot.
All right. And so you don't like the Derrick Henry pick either?
No, I'm okay with Henry as I guess he and Jacobs are the 2 last elite running backs if you're not putting Jonathan Taylor into that boat.
And to be clear, the Josh Jacobs news that he had reached a new contract agreement with the Raiders and would be back in camp, that had not broken at the time of this draft. I think Josh Jacobs would have gone earlier than the 212 had done that. So I just want to be clear about the timing.
Yep. I probably would have taken Devontae Smith there. I think I'm just higher on him than most, but I think Henry is a fine pick. It's just, we'll get to the rest of your draft.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because right now, you're 2 for 2.
The 2 picks look great. It's a matter of how you make up for it. So when you get to round 3, the quarterbacks stare down, finally lets down. So Pat takes Jonathan Taylor, followed by Mark Andrews, Travis Etienne Jr., Calvin Ridley, Josh Allen goes to Barry's team. Lawrence, you take Patrick Mahomes. Then followed by Jahmyr Gibbs, Keenan Allen. I take Lamar Jackson, Joe Mixon, DK Metcalf, Ramondre Stevenson. So guys, after Jalen Hurts goes off the board a little early in round 2, we have 3 star quarterbacks come off the board in round 3.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I guess, Lawrence, you can talk about why you took Mahomes there, but for me, I just realized as I started seeing the wide receivers, right, and I'm looking at, here now in round 3, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf goes later in this round. I thought to myself, this is where my galaxy brain started to expand. I basically said, look, I'm clearly going to be weak at wide receiver, bar none. I know that. So my goal now is I need to crush every other position. I'm now doing zero wide receiver in a 3 wide receiver league.
Oh yeah.
Not exactly ideal, but my point is okay, again, I just think this is important. When you find yourself at the end of runs or you find yourself in a draft and you're getting stuck, don't chase. Seriously, don't chase. I'm just okay, you know what? I can either just keep chasing lower wide receivers and then I'm weak across the board, or I can just say, you know what? I'm clearly going to have the weakest wide receiver group of this league, and I'm going to put myself in a position to fix that by the end of this draft. and it'll be something I work on throughout the season, but I need to make sure I crush every other position. And so that's why in round 3, I go with Josh Allen, who to me is the best available quarterback once Hurts is off the board. He's my number 2 quarterback.
Yep, I think that's fair. And just in a nutshell, it's tough to hit submit on Keenan Allen or DK Metcalf over Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And so I now see I have the opportunity to get Patrick Mahomes as the QB3 in this draft. So because I've already taken Travis Kelce, I'm doubling up, going with the stack instead of taking. And I like Keenan Allen this year. Chargers, Justin Herbert probably throw nearly 700 times, but when I got the chance to get
300 of them going to Austin Eckler, obviously.
Probably 200. But why not get the best stack in fantasy football?
I followed the same strategy as you guys in this round. I just went for points rather than position with Lamar Jackson. I mean, we all believe Lamar Jackson has a range of outcomes that includes being the top quarterback at his position. If you don't take him there, you're starting to get into a different tier of quarterback.
And, by the way, and I'll just say, so Jonathan Taylor goes 3-1. I think that's interesting. I think that's, again, given the current situation, I think that's about right. Into the, I'd actually been more comfortable with him at the end of the third round, but I think he's a third-round pick. I think he's a third-round pick until we know we have a better sense of where Jonathan Taylor goes. So he goes to Rotopad at the top of round 3. I thought this was interesting as we just sort of look at the running backs that go in this after Jonathan Taylor. Producer Damien takes Travis Etienne at 3-3. Producer Cris takes Jahmyr Gibbs at 3-7. And then Joe Mixon goes to Penn State Blake at 3-10. I think that's a great draft pick by Blake. Mixon going that late, no one, I don't understand why so many people are down on. I get the efficiency numbers, but there is no one else there. He is going to get a massive workload on one of the best offenses in football, and I think the touchdown regression happens in a positive way. I know he was, he had the one big game and then just didn't score a lot, but I get it. It's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be like 3.3 yards per carry, but he's going to get 20 touches on a team that's going to score a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing in a way about Ramondre Stevenson, who I got at the end of the third round, effectively a 4th-round pick there. I think with the Zeke stuff, it might have gone a little bit too far with pouring cold water on Ramondre. Ramondre's still going to be the feature back there. He's still going to get the bulk of the receiving work. They still don't have a high-octane passing game. I think Ramondre should still be a mid-third-round pick.
I mean, remember, last year, Damian Harris had what the Ezekiel Elliott role is going to be.
Yep.
And yes, Harris missed a little bit of time, but and Zeke doesn't really miss time, and that's one of the things he's so durable, and maybe because he's Ezekiel Elliott, he gets a little bit more run than Damian Harris, but Ramondre Stevenson was a top 7 fantasy running back last year. And so he's going – I'm with you. I think you and I are on the same page with Ramondre Stevenson, Jay, in terms of buying the dip. The other thing that I think is interesting here is Jahmyr Gibbs. That strikes me as a little high for Jahmyr Gibbs, especially in a half-point PPR.
That's the key.
I'm coming around to, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. But I actually think David Montgomery is the better value this year. David Montgomery at cost over Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going to be – I don't think people realize how much David Montgomery's going to be used this year for the Lions.
Yep. I'd rather have Mixon or Stevenson over Gibbs.
It goes back to the rules of the league. It's half PPR, and that's going to have a monster impact on somebody like Gibbs.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.